no. Did I knock it over?
All is well.
What?
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. I'm nervous. I don't like this. But we do have to record a podcast, so that does come with an intro. This is the BEMA Podcast with Marty Solomon. I'm his co-host, Brent Billings. Today we are joined by Dent and Elle Grover Fricks, with unofficial co-host Zack Dean. Plus over 100 of our lovely podrishioners. To celebrate 10 years of the BEMA Podcast by looking back and looking forward and hopefully having a little fun. And we do need to work on maybe a little bit love your neighbor as yourself. You guys were not cheering as loud for yourselves as you did for us. But Elle did win at 108 decibels, so...
Wow. Yeah. I can say that checks out from traveling all around the country. That checks out.
No.
I can say it checks out that Brent was measuring that with the thing on his phone.
Yeah.
So welcome to BEMA Studios. This is kind of a cool night because our spouses are here. And some of them might be hearing an episode of BEMA for the first time.
Yeah.
We are recording this, of course, and you kind of get to see what it's like behind the scenes. You get to hear some of our awkward pauses. You get to hear the things that we probably would edit out, but we can't because you guys are witnesses and you'll tell on us.
We can still edit it out.
There may be some things that we still edit out. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But unlike a normal recording, because we have you, but we have different mics. And I'm sitting, normally I'm standing, and we're all in the same room, so I can't isolate our microphones. I can't hide the fact that I'm snickering when Reed is saying Reed things. So it's going to be fun. But yeah, we'll see how this works. We're in uncharted territory. But Marty has a few things that he needs to say.
Yeah. First of all, I need to say thanks to some people, and I'll start with our families. Just first and foremost, thanks to our families, our spouses, our children that are here, our moms or our sisters, all the people that might be here, and all of our really close friends that support the work that we do. I'd like to say thanks to Burr Miller. She's arranged this location, navigated. Yeah, we can actually say thanks. That's cool. We've already cheered for Zack. Thanks for Zack for stepping into this really awkward role, but beautifully occupied. I knew Zack would beautifully occupy awkward. It would be just right. I need to say thanks to Gus. Gus is in the back running kind of all of our tech tonight while Brent's up here. So thanks to Gus.
This is actually the very first episode that I haven't recorded myself.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, I saved this one for last. I don't know why I thought this was such a great idea, but I came up with this weird idea one day and came to Brian Trushinger, who is the BEMA Podcast team lead and one of our executives at Impact. And I said, I have this great idea. It's 10 years and 500 episodes. We can make an announcement on the 500th episode, and we can celebrate 10 years, and we can do it with this live episode with tickets and people, and then didn't ever realize that Brian was going to have to carry all the weight of this idea. I was like, isn't it a great idea? Thanks, Brian. Go do that. And realized later what I had done to him. And so just a special thanks if you guys would just thank Brian for really organizing the whole team to get us here. But I also wanted to introduce you to 3 people here tonight that are kind of new or not new, but they're kind of on the fringes of what we're doing, and you're going to probably see a little bit more of them as the future unfolds. One of them is Bree Rapp. Where is Bree? There she is, Bree Rapp. She's in the back. Bree is our new media arts coordinator, so when you see like awesome graphics and videos that Amber shares on social media and that kind of stuff, that is Bree designing that, Amber working together to use it and spread that out. So Bree's a new team member you'll start seeing. She's from New York City, which is awesome. Yeah. And then we have Brian David right up here in the front. Brian David. Luckily, we didn't need Brian to say anything tonight. His voice is like toast right now. But he is our chiasm guy. Like you've seen, you might have heard Brian on the podcast a few times. He does an annual live stream Q&A where all we talk about is chiasms. But Brian is also not just the chiasm guy. He is like the NT Wright guy. The Did You Know Bible Project said this guy. The just a little bit of just about anything and everything he'll quote, he'll work into his own BEMA curriculum with his groups. And so you'll probably continue to see Brian around. We're trying to, if he gets his voice back, we're trying to do season 2 reboot of Daniel, the double chiasm of the book of Daniel. So we got to get his voice back so he can record that with us. And then there's one other person you need to meet tonight. I'm going to try to get this name correct. I've practiced all day. Angelica Acosta Garnett. Where is she? We know her as Lika. We know her as Lika. She lives in Charlotte, but she works down in Texas at a place called Ibarra in the El Paso area, where she works on the border, the U.S.-Mexico border, with people that are on the move. And we're looking forward to partnering with Lika more, and you'll probably be seeing her and hearing from her more in the future. So you'll be able to think back and go, I was at the live episode where they introduced her. I got to shake her hand and talk to her. So a cool introduction we get to make tonight. So that's it for me, Brent. That's the thanks and the intros.
Okay, well, we are excited that you're all here. If you didn't have a chance to say hi before the event, please say hi afterwards. We'd love to meet you, especially those of you who traveled a long distance. Like, we want to talk to you. And depending on how this goes, we may do other events. So you guys set the standard. We'll see what happens. I'm actually going back to Marty again because Marty's going to share some reflections and some celebrations he has about where we've been so far over these last 10 years. BEMA, of course, started even before that, so I would imagine maybe some of those things will stretch back even beyond the podcast. But yeah, Marty, take it away.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like 10 years. What do you say about 10 years from my seat? Because we'll all get to share from the different seats that we've sat in what these 10 years have been like. But I do these board reports every quarter for our board of directors. And at the end of all these reports, one of the things I always do is I give 3 words that describe where I'm at. And so I that just came to mind as I thought about this. I said, what are the 3 words that describe where I'm at as I think back on 10 years? And I have 3 words: grateful, honored, and determined. I want to talk about those just briefly for my segment. I'm grateful. Oh man, I'm not going to get emotional. We get to edit that out.
Not this time.
But they'll know.
They will know. That's stupid. I'm grateful that I get to work with friends on something that I enjoy. I know that is a great privilege and not something that everybody gets to do. But I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful that I get to work with friends and really do something I just love to do every day when I wake up. I'm grateful for everyone that sees value in BEMA and makes it possible, whether that's all of you in the room that help support financially our ministry or just encourage us in a bazillion different ways or would show up at an event like this. Some of you live in the area. Some of you came in from Raleigh, Virginia. I'm just grateful for people that see value in this thing that we do. And I'm grateful for God that would give us this opportunity, the ways that he calls us to partner with him. I love that I get to, people ask me a lot right now, like, how's book tour going? Book tour is going great. One of my favorite things is I get to just hear people's stories, and I get to hear over, and I've heard it 10 times in the lobby already tonight. What you guys do has changed my life. It's saved my ability to read the Bible. It's saved my faith. I'm grateful because I know that that's not our genius. It's this opportunity that God said, I'm trying to do those things. I'm trying to save people's perspective of the Bible. I'm trying to help people like save their faith. Join me in that. And that we get to partner with that is something I'm deeply grateful for. And this will kind of feel the same when I get to the honored. I'm honored is the second word. I'm honored that I get to do what I love and people say thanks. That's a pretty sweet gig. I kind of pray. My prayer for all of you is at different points in your life, you'll feel like you find a similar space because I'm honored to be in that space. I'm honored that people would share their stories. The stories that I hear, some of them are deeply personal and meaningful and impactful, and that you would share those with vulnerability and honesty. I'm honored that you would trust any of us, myself included, but any of the team with the emails we get that Brian gets to see that get dumped in a parking lot. I'm honored for that. I'm honored that I think I'm honored because I used to stand in front of rooms like this. Like some of you will come find us after this event. Come find me and you'll stand there and we'll get to shake hands maybe for the first time. And you'll kind of like have this awkward, like, I don't really know what to say. I'm sure you hear this all the time. And the thing is that it wasn't 20 years ago. I was standing in front of a church room. I was not who I am today. I was standing telling somebody else, thank you, because of what it was doing in me. So I understand that moment, and I'm honored whenever you stand there and tell me that, because I know what it's like to be in that space. And I'm honored. We always love to say, Ray Vanderlaan always taught us to say, bless God. Bless God. It was this way to like redirect the energy away from me to like remember that it's this God that's doing something through us. So I'm honored that I get to say that. I'm also determined. My last word is determined. Determined to steward well what God has given us. Whatever has gotten us to this spot, I just want to keep stewarding it well. I forgot I was going to read this, but let's go find it in the Bible. This is one of those spots that Brent would edit out while I awkwardly turn to Matthew 24.
Or I would be reading it.
Yeah. Brent, why aren't you ready to read Matthew 24?
You would be awkwardly waiting for me to pull it up because I failed to see it in the notes.
And he'll be clearing his throat off camera and getting ready
I clear my throat all the time, and I'm just like dying over here waiting for you to stop talking so I can...
Yeah. Matthew 24, I have verses 45 through 51. Who then is a faithful and wise steward, whom his master has put in charge of his household, to give them food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant, whom the master finds doing his job when he comes. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all of his possessions. But if that wicked servant says in his heart, my master is delayed, and starts to beat his fellow servants, and eats and drinks with drunkards, that servant's master will come on a day that he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know. And he will come, and he will cut him to pieces, and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I really want to steward our moment well, mainly because I don't want to know what it means to be cut to pieces. And
Why?
Why did you look at me when you said that?
I don't know.
I do.
But yeah, I'm determined to steward well the words of God to the best of our ability. I'm determined to steward well theology, the theology that we engage in, the theology that we invite you all to. I'm determined to want to steward well practice, praxis, application, all of those things. And I just hope that we steward well a first word. I never want BEMA to be the last word. I always want it to be the first of many good words. So if the thing that we do and the thing that we steward is to create a lot of great first words, I'll feel very blessed by that. So that's my reflection for 10 years. Brent?
Do you need to fix your mic stand?
No, I'm just nervously holding it.
Okay, all right.
I'll try to stop nervously holding it.
This is the downside to us recording in separate spaces is not that long ago, I found out that Marty, for like 2 years, had a broken boom arm for his mic, and so he'd gotten out this little tabletop tripod, and he was just like leaning over his table podcasting. This is no way to live, Marty.
And yet I did a fine job. Thank you very much.
Nobody could tell. Yeah, so now we're going to go to Elle. Elle is going to tell us about her journey from BEMA student to where she is now.
Incredible. 14 years ago, I was an undergrad student at WSU, where Marty did ministry at that time on campus. I thought at the time it was called Baymont. I'm sure not I'm sure I'm not alone with not getting the title right off the bat, but also I'm still relatively sure that it was at 4 a.m. and that I always had to climb this massive ice hill going up the college there. So I was very embattled and aggrieved, I guess, is the takeaway from that. But I wanted to share this morning, this is not a morning, I wanted to share tonight 2 BEMA lessons, classic BEMA lessons that changed my life, and one that I'm still learning today. The first one is a classic lesson. I think the episode used to be called, maybe it's still called, Drop the Jawbone. I remember being in Israel, Israel, 10 years ago with Marty, and he pointed at a field vaguely and said, this is where Shimshon or Samson set the field on fire. He sent all of his foxes out, and then he kept on talking about something else. And I dropped my whole valedictorian know-it-all thing. What? You? And that's what you all say. Really? Come on. Work with me here. And I just sat in the dirt and looked at the field. And I have no memory of what you said for the rest of that lesson. I'm so sorry. But that specific lesson, that forgiveness is something that we take on to ourselves, that when someone has wronged us and we choose to forgive them, it doesn't just evaporate. It's a burden that we choose expansively to take within ourselves. And when we do that, when we die to ourselves, we find the Lord meeting us in that and resurrecting us back to life, taking that burden up to himself. And that lesson, that if I was able to do that, I would find God to be all sufficient and everything that I needed for that work, kept me from becoming a bitter, angry, lonely person. This is called the Don't Cry Challenge. Marty and I, we're going to win. We're not going to do it. But I'm so grateful for that lesson. It really did change the course of my life. So I'm so blessed to just have the opportunity with all of you to be a learner before I was ever up here. Dropping the jawbone was the first lesson. I also have a little pericope, little pericope from Psalm 16 for each of these sections. So if you listen with me, Lord, you are my good. There is none above you. You will make me experientially know the track of life. Abundance of joy is in your face. Pleasure is in your right hand for forevermore. And thank you. The second BEMA lesson that changed the course of my life, we were sitting in some stony amphitheater. I'm sure Brent can tell me which one. But Marty had just taught us about boundary stones and boundary lines and how in the ancient world to demarcate what God had given you, what he had said, this belongs to you, it is yours. They would mark this with stones. And he had this lesson about not moving other people's boundary stones and how that would be stealing to do so. And Marty looked at me, probably don't remember, but he glared daggers at me and said, some of us here have allowed our boundary stones to be moved farther than they should be. And I'm like, what? I looked at him again, takes his hat off, you know. Some of us have allowed our boundary lines to be moved farther in than they should be. He was referring to the fact that at that time, I did not know that women were allowed to teach. I did not know that women were allowed to be in leadership of any kind. Should have eaten more. And I'm so grateful that God, of course, made me, called me, gave me gifts, but he elbowed Marty in the ribs and said, make sure that you notice her gifts and her calling and who I made her to be. And then that Marty also called that out of me, which is so beautiful because that's what Ray, his teacher, did for him on a similar trip of saying, I think your calling might be this. Think about coming out toward it. So I am so blessed that you changed the course of my life by elbowing me on that amphitheater and telling me that and kickstarting conversations. So those two things changed the course of my life. I'd love to talk to you guys about what's your favorite thing that you learned. What is it that you feel like, I think I might be being drawn out this direction. This story made me think of this. I'd like to get to connect with y'all afterward. But those are two that changed me. The one I'm still learning today is the lesson of Meodecha, and it's from the Shema. And I would be so blessed if you know the Shema as Marty has taught it to us, if you would say it along with me. Is that okay? Will that upset our sound?
Not at all.
Wonderful. Join me if you know it. If you don't know it, that's perfectly fine. But Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'kol lavavka, u'v'kol nafsheka, u'v'kol me'odecha, ve'ahavta re'acha k'mocha. Hear, O Yisrael, the Lord is God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your very, and love your neighbor as yourself. So that very there, he taught us, is the word meod, and it's true. That is just the word for very. I am very, very many things. I like to be very intellectual. I like to be very silly and goofy. Texas people know that. And I thought that in order to be on a space like this, in order to be in the world, that I needed to edit myself in some kind of way, that there was not room to be the wholeness of who I am, that I needed to try to adjust things, and getting to learn that that is not the case, getting to learn that the gift that each of us is made to be is enough, and we don't have to worry about the wrapping paper, that we can be in community, that the particularity of who we are is something that God intended. And so I love, again, getting to spend time with all of you and hear some episode that I wasn't sure about putting into the world, like the text pillar one, talking about purple and spiral dynamics. I hear from so many of you guys that you love that.
Somebody just said on Slack this week that episode made them like just tear up the entire time.
Amazing.
Isn't that great?
It was a really good episode.
Oh, well, thank you. This is why I'm here. That's what I was hoping for. But getting to be in a space where I get to say, hey, this is what I think I'm working on in a beautiful community with my meod, the way that God made me, and also the same, of course, for all of you, is such a blessing, something I'm growing in and learning. So I'm so grateful that this community is one that Marty has created, that he has led and continues to lead. My last portion from Psalm 16 says, as for the holy ones that are in the earth, they are expansive and magnificent. They are all my delight. Because each of your meods also give me great joy and delight. So thank you. That's it. I didn't cry, so I win.
I mean, it was close. You cried to the standard that I cry.
Okay.
You, Brent, cried.
Not saying much.
I mean, I can cry more, but I have a pretty low bar. Is that the EGFV that you're reading, Psalm 16?
Sure was.
All right, the Elle Grover Fricks version coming soon to a
Theaters near you.
Yeah, maybe. Somehow we are wildly ahead of time, but we're moving on to fulfill.
Not that we're yielding
Don't
that time
tell
to
me
you.
that.
Well, I mean, kind of.
Let me get a few extra
see.
pages out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But to fulfill all righteousness, Reed is going to read aloud to us.
Yeah. If you have listened, you know that I truly do this all the time. Marty, this is early part of our friendship, and lots of comfortable times for him, just sitting there listening to me read things, and right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our little book baby that we made was part of you.
No, yeah, I was reading
me.
to Marty, and then we were walking and talking, and he's like, "That's it. That's the next book. Let's write it together." Usually, I'm reading something from Frederick Buechner or from Barbara Brown Taylor or some other great writer. This evening, I regret to inform you that you're going to get a slightly less caliber piece of work from myself. Thinking about journeying, thinking about Sabbath, I want to read to you you a reflection, a little piece that I wrote from my sabbatical that I took in 2019 when my wife and I and some friends and family went to Spain and did the Camino. So if I can have like 8 or 9 minutes, you know what to expect, and get your wiggles out.
I want an over-under. I think it's at 3.5 of how many times he quotes Buechner in his own work.
Okay. In this piece right here?
Yeah.
All right. Are you taking the over or the under?
I'm taking the over. I know better.
They say that James the Apostle brought the gospel to Spain, and when he died, his students carried his body first to the sea and then inland to what we now call Santiago de Compostela. There is a cathedral on that spot now, like a great Gothic Christmas tree, hung all over with ornaments of saints and angels. And each year, many pilgrims, peregrinos to the locals, walk across Spain to visit it. During the summer of 2019, my wife and I, along with 4 of our friends and family, set out as peregrinos on this path known as El Camino. Some walk nearly 500 miles from France through the Pyrenees and across all of northern Spain. But for our part, over 6 days, we walked 63 miles from Lugo to Santiago de Compostela with everything but our food and beds on our backs. What was on my back was my pack. A green Gregory 40-liter outfit with mesh hip pockets and a loop on the shoulder to hold my sunglasses. For the first 17 miles on day 1, it was an awkward burden. The length and weight of these packs tend to turn you into a weeble wobble, teetering and tottering this way and that. So to achieve balance, they have about 20 different straps for shifting weight around. Cinch here, let it out there, hop, tug, push, and pull in an effort to get things into just the right spot on your back, all while trying not to sideswipe your neighbors on the trail. After that first long day, though, my pack had become a sort of comfort to me, like burdens do. By the end of the week, it had become a home for me, as imperceptible and ever-present as the weight of my own back. Like a snail, I lived out of my burden. All the pilgrims did. If not because of the packs, you can tell the peregrinos by their limps. With blistered feet, we hobbled along like we were walking on bee stings. So many colorful, rain-proof burdens from all around the world bobbing up and down the paths. Here is an osprey, there is a quechua, mine is a Gregory. There are many like it, but this one is mine. At night in our hostels, we neatly unpacked the necessary items before locking them up in the lockers of our shared rooms. There wasn't much: a pair of flip-flops, some card games, deodorant, a toothbrush, some trail mix, and extra clothes. By far the most expensive thing was the burden itself, the backpack. In the morning, we repacked and picked them back up again. We did this ritual with our burdens for days. Like some darkly comedic prayers of the hours, our morning and evening routine consisted of making sure we had everything we needed to weigh us down. On trails, we collected wildflowers and shared stories. Late in the lobbies of our lodgings, we shared our deepest, honest thoughts. I was challenged and surprised by what John, an Army officer of considerable rank, had to say at 2 a.m. about whether and how someone can embody the nonviolent Christ as they send paratroopers into the fray. He spoke of his belief in compassion over authority as the way to motivate scared young men to fall through the sky into battle. I read him Buechner's Alphabet of Grace in that Dutch Airbnb, and the silence grew still as darkness between us. 5 days in, the day before arriving in Santiago, we were walking when my wife's cousin looked up in frustration and exclaimed, "Oh no!" The news said James's tomb would be closed for renovations when we arrived. We would have to worship elsewhere. The group groaned, but I, ever the theologian, sputtered forth with what I thought I knew. God does not live in temples made by human hands and where the Spirit of the Lord is and all of that, you know. The 6th day, we arrived. The body and ghost of St. James were, in fact, buried beneath plastic sheeting and metal scaffolding while the place was getting a facelift, so we found another church. Not the one we wanted, but still, it was a building achingly old and beautiful, with steeples high enough to make you crane your neck. At the gate of this church, the security guard told me I could not bring my pack in. Burdens were to be piled by the door. I saw other pilgrims casually, effortlessly, scandalously toss their packs aside and enter the church without a second thought. My friends and wife, appallingly, were ready to join them. "Wait a minute," I said. "What about our stuff? Someone will take it." Afraid, I could not let go of the urge to protect my burden. My wife's cousin, Georgianne, had been living in Spain 3 years at this point, and feeling none of my fear, but a great deal of mercy for me, offered to keep watch in my place. "Let me stay," she said softly. "I've done this before." "Please, don't," I demanded, brooding. "Just don't." With no place to leave my burden safely locked away and unable to bring it in, I chose instead to guard it while my family and friends entered the church without me. Alone, 20 feet from the gates of the kingdom, like Gollum with his ring, I kept watch over a pack of packs, hunched over, maniacal-eyed, worried that a thief would steal what I had carried across Spain, my dirty laundry, my earplugs, my identification. Like the prodigal son's older brother pouting outside over a fattened calf, my judgment was self-imposed. How could I ever again speak of God excluding anyone? So I sat unassaulted, draining my toes of fluid, suspiciously eyeing no one. As it turned out, the thieves either were not there or did not care about my junk. A couple of peregrinos, dirty and beaming from their own pilgrimage, passed by in the courtyard, shedding their packs lightly as dead skin. The woman had blonde dreadlocks, and she held back by a bandana. She smiled brightly at me and said in a wonderful Australian voice, "Congratulations." I didn't try to explain why I didn't deserve it. When the Mass began, I heard a voice echoing from inside, "Como el viento y fuego," calling me in a language that I couldn't understand or resist, asking me to let the thieves take what I could not leave behind and come worship. Finally, I entered, barefoot and bareback. In strange tongues, I heard about Jesus and his grace. And then I saw it with my own eyes when an Israeli and a German passed the peace right in front of me. I stood in the back during a hymn and turned when I felt a hand rest gently on my shoulder. Army John whispered, "I'm glad you're here." And in the quiet that followed, I began to desperately hope that I would go back out into the world to find my burden gone, taken by thieves who wanted it now more than I did, and that I would laugh harder and deeper than I'd ever laughed in my life. But, God willing, my burden was still there. So I did what I could and had to. I picked up my pack and kept going. We got a car for the last 50 miles. Strange, covering in an hour what had taken us nearly a week to walk. To a town called Murcia on the Costa de Morte, Gallego for Coast of Death, where shipwrecked sailors and peregrinos have all met the same end for centuries. Fittingly, there's a point known since the Roman Empire as the end of the world, and there sits a chapel whose doors face the sea. When you leave worship, you enter not the world, but an eternal horizon. It's tradition to stand at the edge of this eternity and throw a scallop shell into the sea. We arrived before the crowds and found a spot on massive boulders out just off the coast. After throwing our shells in, the 6 of us spent an hour sitting, watching, each on our own, in silence. And as I sat there in front of the enormity of the Atlantic, I was struck by a thought. Some travel 63 miles on the Camino. Some journey more than 500 miles. Some ride bikes. Some walk, some run, some hobble. But no matter who you are, or how far you've come, no matter how heavy or light your burden, no matter how smooth or blistered your feet, every person who arrives at the very end reaches a point beyond which their own legs cannot carry them. Everyone eventually finds themselves on equal ground before God's vast grace, and his grace is vast enough for everyone. This is most certainly good news and worth walking however long it takes to find out. See, and this is why we read to each other.
That was the most.
Right, Marty?
That was the most.
How you feeling right now, buddy?
That was. I also think he skipped the Buechner quotes because that count was only at 1.
And I didn't even actually quote. I just referenced the title of the book.
That was a quote. You know it.
You can still count it. You're wrong.
Dang. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
That's pretty good. Not that I had to reflect on any of my burdens or anything like that.
Yeah, this isn't the place for that.
Definitely not. Not on this podcast.
No way. Give me those
Brent?
chiasms.
Yeah, that's right. Brent, we've heard from everybody but you, and I feel like we ought to hear what you think about the last 10 years. And you might stretch even beyond that because it goes beyond that.
Yeah, I remember in 2012 when I moved to Moscow to work at the church, and I would walk from my office to the copy room or the front desk or the bathroom, whatever. I was always going by our conference room, and I would just hear Marty in the afternoons yelling and jumping up and down. Like, what is going on in there? So the next fall, when his second round of BEMA classes came around, I was like, I'm in it. And these lessons changed everything about how I think about the world, how I think about the Bible, how I think about people. And so I get to the end of that class and I turn right around. And I was like, I probably absorbed 20% of that at best. So I started up with the second round.
I was like, Brent, you already did this. It's like, yeah, no, I'm going to do it again. Okay.
So I get when people tell me like, yeah, as soon as I finish session 5, and you better say 5, not 4. As soon as I finish session 5, I went right back to the beginning of session 1. I get it. I did the same thing. So then
I take it personally.
You take it personally? Yeah. Well, that's why we mixed you in that's why we're doing the reboot. So people know. Because people are like, who's Reed? Who's Elle? It's like, oh man.
Doesn't matter.
Guys,
Some of us like it that way.
Anyway, that's a separate rant. So we started the podcast, and I knew how much all of this meant to me, and I knew how compelling it was to me, but I didn't know like who that was. I didn't know who was going to listen. I knew as we were going through that class, there was some random guy named Jim in California who would order pizza for us and have it sent to our classroom because his daughter was going to the University of Idaho, and so he knew of Marty that way. So like we had some random connections, but I was like, whatever. So we start the podcast, and we started hearing about a couple people here and there, but I think what was the most bizarre moment for me was September 2018, and we got a message from this couple, Mark and Gina, from Illinois, and they were going to be driving through Moscow for some reason, and they wanted to meet us, and I was like, I don't know anybody anywhere over there. What is happening? And then it just continued to get crazier from there. So I was actually looking back because I keep records of everything.
Oh, does he?
You guys have no idea. It's amazing.
Some of you were involved in this tonight, so these numbers are even outdated. But I have an album on my phone of all the photos that I've taken with people. So when I was looking at it this afternoon, I have 201 photos in the album, 911 faces represented, stories represented. I checked my other folders on my computer, 110 Zoom calls with another 389 people. And that's just the people I've had a chance to talk to sort of a little bit. And there's so many, like the fact that we get to go on this journey together with so many different people. Like I look at our BEMA map, which I love the map so much. I look at it all the time. I look at maps in general all the time. As of today, we have 539 groups on the map, 44 states, plus DC, Puerto Rico, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands. We have 37 countries represented. Like my wife and I went on our 10-year anniversary trip to France, and we met 4 groups while we were in France. we went to another trip to Sweden, Estonia, and Finland, and we met people in all of those places. Some of them we knew about before we were going, and then while we were over there, somebody contacted me and said, hey, I have some friends in Helsinki. Would you like to meet them? Absolutely. We had a delightful dinner with them. They gave us these delightful cups, these mugs that our boys love. They have little tigers on them. So I feel like I have friends everywhere I go, and I have people who are wrestling with the text in the same way that I did, and it's a blessing beyond what I could have possibly imagined 10 years ago.
That's pretty good.
To either your delight or dismay, I am back.
Zack Dean, everyone.
So our next segment, we have a fun time together, and we're going to practice as we move into it. We are moving into 2 truths and a lie. The first lie has already been told. We only have 1 truth and 1 lie for each round. So I started, that was a lie. So the way it's going to work is we're going to start on Elle's side and go across, and she'll give a truth and a lie, and then we'll banter back and forth and see which one we think is true. Then when we go to vote on which one is true, I'll go, who thinks the first one is true? And they'll raise up a finger for number 1, and you cheer. If you think number 2 is true, they'll raise a number 2. And for those listening online, also say number 2 on the mic. But then you'll cheer, so we'll have an audience score. We'll have their score. It's going to be a great time.
I'm so ready.
Take it away, Elle.
Sharing about myself, terrible. Trying to trick my friends, a great time. I'm so ready. Okay, here we go. Statement number 1. I went bar hopping with a royal prince. Statement number 2. I went skydiving with Bedouins.
Okay, well, who was the royal prince?
He was a royal prince of Jordan.
How did you meet a royal prince of Jordan?
At the Temple of Poseidon.
Like you do.
How many princes are there in Jordan?
I'm not sure.
Do you get the impression that there are a lot or a few?
I think there's a good handful. I didn't Wikipedia him or anything, but maybe I should have. Woo. But no, I was at the temple having a grand old time, reflecting, reading, doing all these things, and someone was just so loud the whole time. And then he sat next to me on the bus, and we had this great conversation. Turned out he was a Prince of Jordan.
Wait. The royal prince of Jordan sat next to you on a bus?
Yep.
Why wouldn't a royal prince of Jordan have some kind of fancy motorcade?
You gotta slam it with the peasants,
Okay, enough about this royal prince riding a bus.
As ridiculous as that is, I do find that more likely than skydiving with Bedouins.
I mean, I have to. Where'd you take off from when you were doing skydiving?
We took a Arabic bus down into the Negev, and it was a graduation present to myself. And when we got there, as is the case in a lot of that part of the world, it's a little more, ramshackle than you might expect. But it was okay. It was great. It's a good time.
What is more likely, that a royal prince is riding a bus, or that Elle gives a graduation present to herself?
I don't think I can answer that.
It was grad school.
Wait, so how again did the skydiving venture come up with the Bedouins?
I had friends who did stuff, okay? And so...
Were they Bedouins?
No.
Was this tandem skydiving with a Bedouin?
Yes, and very specifically, they gave me a woman to be harnessed with. She
5
was
seconds.
Fantastic. I loved it. I didn't die.
Clearly. Bar
is that
hopping?
not true?
What? Dang it.
And that's time.
I just wanted to know what bar you went to.
Okay, that's
sorry,
time.
okay, I'm sorry.
Reed.
Sorry.
Okay, so we are going to vote. Do you think it was true she went bar hopping with a prince?
I do. I vote 1.
Do you think it's true she went skydiving with Bedouins?
Number 2.
I'll go 2 because
Number
I'm
2.
a follower with
Man.
Marty.
Bedouins are awesome.
It was number 1.
Bar hopping with the prince.
Baby. Are we keeping score, right? Are we keeping score?
Just
Is this
mental
for points?
score, baby. I
We
got it.
are keeping score. Now, we're going to have to keep score on the honor system because we have a lot of books. And if you are the top winner and get the most right, we will give away books. So keep the score. If half of you get 10, none of you get books. That's what's going on with that. So next round, Brent.
Okay, here's my 2 items. I hunted, killed, and ate a squirrel.
What?
And the other one, my favorite song in 5th grade was Strawberry Wine by Deanna Carter.
Both of these make me horribly uncomfortable, actually.
Okay, so when you skinned, well, first, how did you kill the squirrel?
So we moved out to a farm when I was going into 4th grade, and at some point shortly thereafter, I got a BB gun, pellet gun, and I used the pellet gun.
Is the truth that Strawberry Wine is still your favorite song, and that's
No,
why it's a lie?
not still. Only in 5th grade. I said
That's
that
why
very
it's a lie.
specifically.
Got it.
Marty, you should know some good hunting, skinning specific questions, right? Like you're a hunter. What? Trap it.
You ate the squirrel?
Yeah.
You gutted the squirrel.
My dad did the dirty work.
Sorry,
Oh, so
Elle.
it's already a lie.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
no, I didn't say. I did the hunting and the killing and the eating. That's the part
Okay.
that I said.
Oh, okay.
All right.
You're right.
All right.
We also ate a rooster at one point, and we learned why you don't eat roosters because that was the worst chicken meat anybody's ever had.
Why did the Deanna Carpenter song appeal to you?
Deanna Carter.
Carter, sorry. I was trying to catch you.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Okay.
pretty good evidence for how he feels about that song.
It was the song that I learned to slow dance to.
Oh. With whom?
What?
With whom?
Oh, I was actually trying to remember her name and I can't remember it. But it was in her white farmhouse and we were in the upstairs bedroom and the windows were open. It was in the summer. And there was a little, one of those.
I feel like this is a verse
one
of the
those-
song
in
that's
fifth
not actually
grade-
in
yeah,
there.
seriously.
one of those silly little boom boxes, that had I don't know if it was a tape or
What
CD,
year were
but
you in 5th grade?
To 97, 98, something like that.
They were her parent. Was it your house or her house?
Her house.
And her parents let you upstairs in the bedroom alone in 5th grade?
We were just dumb kids. We didn't know any better.
Okay.
We didn't kiss.
Strawberry wine.
Clearly, that would have been a lie.
And that's
High
time.
July moon saw it.
Yeah, we should have just asked him to.
That might be copyrighted. We'll see.
Not my version.
So, part 1, hunted, killed, and ate a squirrel. If you think it's him, if you think it's true, cheer.
Oh,
Cheer.
I think one is true.
If his favorite song in 5th grade was Strawberry Wine, cheer.
Oh, boy. We know the truth.
You guys got me. Yeah. Now the squirrel thing is true up to the point where we ate it. I didn't eat it, but I did hunt and kill it.
What?
Oh for 2.
I didn't really mean to.
That's
The dogs.
not the most
What did you
upsetting
do with
part.
it after you killed it then?
I'm actually not 100% sure it was dead because the dogs carried it off.
Would you have eaten it if the dogs had not carried it off?
I don't know. We ate a rooster. I
That was
feel like
true?
anything could have been possible.
Okay.
Everything was crazy on the farm.
This is getting worse and worse. Let's go on to Marty.
Guys, I'm not prepared to play this game. I'm going to say that right now. It's going to be the lamest submissions this game ever. Okay. Here's statement number 1. I once coached the Boise Bible College Lions to a Boise City flag football championship, defeating former BSU players from the A-League.
Were they Bedouins?
Bedouin State University.
Jordanian princes riding a bus to the game. The second statement. I won the race for student body president my junior year of college by using the 5 points of Calvinism as my campaign platform.
Two is true. Two is true.
That first one was so convoluted. There were so many elements to it. You won a flag. You coached?
I did.
How old were you?
Junior, so 21-ish.
So there's like peer coaching? Like
I can't remember why I was driven to coach and not play, because I played the 2 years prior, but I coached this year.
Were you a player coach?
No.
Just
sat
a
with the
coach.
clipboard. Like,
That's how you like it to be, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Give him a clipboard.
What was the final score of the championship game?
I just remember we won by 1 point at the end. Touchdown pass at the last second. 1 foot came inbounds. BSU player shoved our receiver out of the back of the end zone. Fisticuffs ensued. It was incredible.
There was a fight?
What?
Which Bengals player would
lead
you
with
most
that?
compare that receiver to?
Not that receiver, but that moment.
Okay.
T. Higgins.
Okay. Just, for the record.
How many people play on a side in flag football?
8, I believe.
I wish I knew that.
Did you have any great slogans for running for whatever you were running for with the 5 points?
Tulip. I actually did the presentation with an overhead projector. You remember those? Those are fun.
Yes.
I had a transparency, and my campaign pitch just went, T, you don't know any better. U, I've already actually won the election. L, I'm the only one this really matters for. I'm irresistible. And P, I'm not going anywhere. That was my campaign.
Okay, that's pretty
platform.
good.
Wow. Compelling.
Don't love the
compelling.
theology, but I love the campaign.
Are there
That's a great
are there a
platform.
lot of closet Calvinists at Boise Bible
No,
College?
I was the only one. That's what made it so great.
Yeah, I was
That
going to say
feels
that's
right.
what I
The fact
thought.
that I won was like how could I possibly even win this?
That doesn't seem like a winning strategy.
Do you know who any of your opponents were?
Yeah, do I know the opponents?
Yeah,
Chris
who were your
Short.
opponents? Who?
Chris Short.
Chris, are you listening?
Chris Short.
Yeah.
I know a Chris Short in Post Falls. Was he
Yeah,
in
that's
Post
Chris
Falls?
Short. That was Chris Short.
That's the one you were running against?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Can I phone a friend?
that Marty
Is it
won?
realistic that Marty could have beaten him?
And that's
yes.
time. Okay. Who thinks it's true that he once coached a football team? Cheer.
I think I'm saying that. I got to go with it.
Who thinks he once ran the race and won student body president?
I think it's two. It's two.
Marty?
Well, they were both really close to true, but I lost the campaign for president, and I won the championship with flag football.
Boom. That's 2 points for me. If anyone's keeping track, 2 points so far. Perfect. 2-0.
2-0.
I would have voted for you, Marty.
Nice. Yeah, you would have.
Reed, take it away.
All right. Statement 1. I was in a band with the creator of intertextual.bible that had a short-lived record deal with Sparrow Records. I had a private meeting with the general manager of the Kansas City Royals. That's it. Those are the 2 statements. Those aren't one statement.
Kansas City Royals.
You ever heard of them?
That's a sports thing.
I
It's
like
a sports
baseball.
thing.
I like baseball.
Got it.
You had a private meeting. Say that one again.
I had a private meeting with the general manager of the Kansas City Royals.
What about?
Yeah. What'd you guys talk about?
We talked about trades with Jermaine Dye and Johnny Damon. I had a friend, Clint Carlton, who was a local, self-made radio celebrity because he went to every home game of the Royals with this thing called the Diometer for how many home runs Jermaine Dye hit. So he was local celebrity. He emailed Allard Baird, the GM, to say, I don't like what you're doing with these trades. Clint and I worked together. One day, the manager from our work, it was a call center, comes in, and she says, Clint, there's somebody on the phone named Allard Baird for you.
This is too many details.
Okay, well, I'm
It's
just telling
made
you the
up.
story. So we got to go meet with him before the game because he was like, I want to hear you out.
Suspicious.
And he gave us some bottled water, and I got to see what a GM's walls look like. It's all the rosters of
You
all
were
the
a
baseball
tag-along
teams.
for this meeting.
I was
Somebody
a tag
else
along.
was, though. Okay.
I was a tag along. Clint and I. But the
makes
two
more
of us,
sense.
it was the 2 of us and Allard Baird, and then we got his tickets to the game.
Okay, what was your genre of your band?
Worship, rock. I was in a band
Cool.
called Sinai Escape.
Whoa. Whoa.
I played the lead guitar,
Wow.
Shredding Faces.
Sinai Escape. They
Sinai
were trying to
Escape?
get to Sinai.
I've settled the case on which one's
it was
the
an
lie
escape.
here.
It was an escape from Egypt to Sinai, Brent, and so
Okay.
that was the idea. So,
All right.
but it sounded cooler, Sinai escape than escape to Sinai.
You weren't like shirking the law. None
Of
of
course
this.
not. We were making rock worship songs back in 2001 and 2.
I desperately want to hear. Was it originals or covers?
We did both, actually. But the originals were really where it was at, especially when I just started shredding face melters.
Anybody that gets this wrong should be kicked out.
And that's time.
You don't think I could do that? Okay.
So, first, who thinks he had a record deal with Sparrow Records with being in a band with a person, the creator of intertextual.bible?
Which is a great website that everyone should use.
It is indeed.
Intertextual.bible. It'll be in the show notes.
Nice. I like that.
I just don't think people just don't believe I can play the guitar, but I can.
Was he in a band with this guy and this book that'll be or website that'll be in the show notes? Cheer if you think so.
That's pity cheers right there, Reed.
I think that you had the band and then it was awesome, just not that you were signed.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
you were like,
all right, we'll see.
nah,
It was
we'll
a
move
setup.
on.
We'll see.
Saw right
We'll
through
see.
it.
Do you think he had a private meeting with the general manager of the Kansas City Royals?
Yeah, baby,
We all-
number 2. All
We
of us
all
know
think
it.
that.
It is true. I was in the band. We almost had a record deal, but we did not. And I did meet with the Kansas City Royals general manager. You got me.
And
Yeah.
he can't shred faces.
I can melt faces. I can't anymore, but I used to be able to do that.
Incredible.
Had a sweet guitar.
We're doing okay with time. I almost said read again. Elle.
It's still me. I'm still Elle. All right. Set number 2. Statement number 1. I declined a job offer from the FBI. Statement number 2. I had to touch decapitated heads.
Had to or wanted to?
Had to.
Yeah. Had with a D or have to.
They had half heads as well. So both.
Oh, dear.
Half heads. He was asking have to or had
Yeah,
to. You had to.
You
in
had
the
to
past.
or you
to.
have to. Like if you were to
Had.
see one today,
I
Who made
had
you
be
do
like
this?
touchy.
Oh,
Who
it's
made
like
you? Who made you?
It's like an uncontrollable impulse. If you see one, you just have to.
I was
No.
an authority figure made me touch the heads. Yes.
Oh,
gonna have
like
to
a
send
professor?
that.
Are we talking a professor?
A professor.
This is
yes.
a lab.
This is a lab.
Where?
WSU.
Okay.
In what class?
Opera.
Why were you touching decapitated heads in opera?
Because you have to understand vocal nodes and how to avoid them, and you have to see how small the cricoid joint and all this stuff is. You have a whole anatomy you have to take for
Oh, okay.
opera.
What was the other thing you said? What was the first one?
FBI.
FBI?
Yep.
Why'd you turn the job down?
You declined it.
I declined it. Yeah.
What was to be an agent or?
Well, no, there's a lot of steps, as some folks know, but they wanted me to come out to the next portion of the step before security clearance. And I was applying for my PhD at the time. And so you can apply, I think, 3 times before they cut you off. So I was like, I can do it again if I don't get into any PhD programs. And then instead, COVID happened and Marty hired me. So I could have saved lives, and now we're here instead.
Marty, I feel like you should know something about this.
You touch the heads. You didn't just
like
look at the whatever opening.
There's no
you
way
needed
that's
to.
real. There's no way that you did that
Like,
in opera class.
is this one of those like anatomical
And
models?
that's time. Okay. By round of applause, do we think it's true she turned down a job with the FBI?
I'll go with that one because there's no way you touch decapitated heads for opera.
By round of applause, do you think she was forced to touch decapitated heads?
I'm going, yeah. Marty and I are going with that.
Yep, going with that.
I did touch decapitated
Oh
heads.
my goodness.
What now?
In opera?
Yes. It was
That doesn't even seem
disgusting
like it
and
should be
disturbing,
legal.
and I felt lightheaded, and I had
Did
to
you
go in the
break
hallway.
into the cadaver lab or something?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Is
I'm
there
terrible
a-
at this
I'm
is
game.
there a-
so hardcore, you guys.
Are you party to a class action lawsuit about that?
What?
Doesn't seem right.
We move to Brent in part 2.
Okay, statement 1. I was kissed by a Greek Orthodox priest. Statement 2. I got into rodeo barrel racing when we lived on the farm.
Where were you kissed by this priest?
On the cheek?
Was strawberry wine playing?
No.
So the priest and the 5th grade girl had the same fate then. They knew.
Did the
No.
5th grade girl
But
also have a long beard?
You did get kissed by the priest.
How
Okay.
is it possible that Brent's questions, the truth of the lie, are making me the most uncomfortable on this stage?
That's worse than a decapitated head.
Was this like a part of some religious service or something?
No, we were sitting on a couch, and it was my friend's dad, my friend Tatiana, her dad. What is the Greek Orthodox? Do they go by father? Is that like the Catholic Church?
Yeah.
Okay. So Father Horton, and they're like, "Hey, let's get a picture of you two." And as they're going to take the picture, he just like grabs my it was probably my first exposure to like a Eastern culture, like, greet each other with
What
a
year
holy
did this
kiss
happen?
sort of thing. I was high school, I believe. So it would have been like 03, 04
Okay.
time frame.
And you got into barrel race? Is that what you said? Barrel racing? Like the
Yeah,
rodeo?
yeah. When we moved out to the farm, I think my grandparents probably paid for it, but like they gave me horse riding lessons immediately. And then I remember going to my first rodeo in Piedmont, Kansas. And I was stunned that anyone would do any of the like bronco riding or bull riding. I'm like, that looks like you're going to die. But the barrel racing, I was like, that's cool. Like that looks fun to go fast and whatever. And I had
That's when you were a kid?
yeah, I didn't actually get into the rodeo because my parents got divorced, and then I don't want to be too much of a bummer. Anyway, we had to move back to town and whatever. But
And that's time.
I want both of these to be true so badly. I want both
Barrel
of them
riding,
to have
Brent, is what
happened.
you want them both
maybe
to be
in the
true.
same scene.
By round of applause, who thinks Brent was kissed by an Orthodox priest?
I'll go with that one.
We all voted number 1 for the listeners.
By round of applause, who thinks he got into rodeo barrel racing? A long shot, audience.
you guys, I was a really good horse rider, and I could have done it, but of course, it was the Orthodox priest. If you've never been to a midnight Pashka service, by the way, that is the most fun I've ever had at a church service.
Wow.
We will leave it there. Marty, it is your turn.
Oh, okay. Let me get back to I want to read everything so I say it correctly. I have stood on the B at the center of Paycor Stadium, home of the Cincinnati Bengals, by myself and sat on the ruler of the jungle throne.
This feels like more sports things.
Sounds
I had
lame.
to set this up for it to be a challenge. Here's the second statement. Earlier this week, I commented on a social media post from the Bengals and got a response from wide receiver T. Higgins.
But then
What
did
did
he?
T say to you, Marty?
It was just a like. What
what was your comment?
What was that?
What was your comment?
I said "Who Day" with the tiger emoji.
Did you
And
use
he
the white
was like,
tiger or
I've
the orange
never
tiger?
seen this
Orange
kind
tiger.
of comment before, and I'm
There is
moved.
no white tiger. Silly. What's
Does-
that?
do we
And
think
he was moved by that emoji.
what was the post on?
It was a fantastic catch from.
Do we
Training
think that
camp.
Marty is the kind of person who comments on social media posts?
It's the
For
Bengals.
the Bengals, yeah.
Does he? Have you ever seen this?
What is the jungle throne? Is my real question.
That's a good question.
So if you ever go to a Bengals game, every home game there is what they call the ruler of the jungle, and it's their responsibility at the beginning when they play "Welcome to the Jungle," and their job is to get the whole crowd pumped up, and they do the "Who Day," and they use the staff. I wasn't actually the ruler; I just got a sat on the throne of the ruler of the jungle throne.
Wow. Wow. I have more questions than answers, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Are you there against your will?
Absolutely
Are
not.
you part of a cult?
No.
Okay. All right.
Why did you get to stand on the bee by yourself?
Because I was there for a meeting to look at season tickets.
I don't buy
Wow.
that. I don't
Did
buy
it
at
cost
all.
money to go down on the field?
Absolutely not. Free as can be.
Do they do this for every person who wants to
Absolutely
meet to
not.
talk?
It was an exclusive opportunity.
Who gave you this opportunity?
His name was Jake.
Jesus.
Jake. Was it Jake Browning,
Nope.
the backup quarterback for the
No.
Cincinnati Bengals? Why would he give you this opportunity and not everybody else?
Because he was a 19-year-old sales guy who couldn't believe I came down to actually look at my seats in person.
And that's time. So, by round of applause, who thinks Marty stood on the bee and sat on the ruler of the jungle throne?
Yeah. I
Likely.
absolutely believe.
Likely.
Yes.
By round of applause, who thinks that earlier in the week he commented on social media and got a response from T. Higgins?
I am going to start commenting on all the Bengals social media posts now, but it was the bee.
Yeah.
I stood on the bee,
Excellent.
sat on the throne.
Finally, I got the
Got
first
photos
one
to
I got
prove
right.
it.
I absolutely believe that you would go to the stadium to look at your seats.
Absolutely.
And that most people don't.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Reed, take it away.
All right, statement 1. My eardrum is made of skin from the side of my head. Statement 2. I have broken the same bone 3 times.
Pause. Is the first one not the case for all humans?
I am saying they took skin from the side of my head and put it inside my ear.
Great. Why?
When did this happen?
It was like 14, 13.
Why did they do this?
My eardrum ruptured
Why?
because of a diving board accident.
Are you sure you weren't just playing the guitar too well?
I think I have some
Melting
long-term
faces and
I do
eardrums.
think I have some long-term hearing loss because of those experiences, but that's not what we're on trial for here.
Tell
It's-
me about
it's
the
just-
diving board incident.
I went off the diving board and I went under the water, and when I came up, it was like, oh my gosh, my ear hurts so bad, and it had ruptured.
City pool?
Yes.
Did you break the bone during the same dive?
No. Different times, different era.
Tell me about those.
I was a skater back in the day.
Did you say see you later?
You don't believe I was a skater? Yeah, middle school, I was a skater and fell back on my wrist. And then another time was at Camp Eagle, this adventure camp in Texas. It was the last week of camp, and I had been climbing, and I fell back, and the mat was not where it was supposed to be in Kablooey. And then the third time was actually at CCF when we were playing this game of box. It's a Frisbee game. And Derek slammed into me so hard that I fell back and pop again.
Believable about Derek.
This is very close to the truth, but I'm trying to figure out which one is not.
Yeah,
not.
which one's been changed?
These are
slightly?
both very close.
They actually took the skin graft from somewhere way more
Did
embarrassing.
they take it from your
So
butt
it
cheek
changed.
instead?
No, it was actually my head,
Where on your head?
right above my ear.
Did you have a bald spot there?
I did.
Or just the one?
I did. Okay.
Wow.
Low blow.
Zing.
Low blow.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, thankfully that part has regrown. That's not the best I got.
And that's time. So, by round of applause, do we think it's true that the side of his head supplied skin for his eardrum? I messed that up. You get it.
That's me, number one.
Yeah, I'm there.
By round of applause, do you think he's broken the same bone 3 times?
I'm going to.
I have never broken a bone.
Yes.
But
Wow, not even close.
I had to have 2 skin grafts to fix my eardrum.
Oh, so that
You are
wasn't even the full
tamim.
truth.
You're whole. You're ready to be
Wow.
sacrificed, is what I'm hearing.
I've never broken a bone either, Reed.
All right.
Man.
Fist bump.
Brothers.
Me neither.
Listeners,
I
we're
mean,
air fist bumping like this. Okay.
We are perfectly on time.
Wow, we really are.
Yes.
And that means it's time for an announcement. I want you all to know that we have a new merch store that is being announced today for the first time.
Yes.
whatever I say, they cheer.
I love
it's amazing.
it.
It's
is
when
amazing.
you do the arm thing.
How do you do it, Zach?
I don't know.
Spontaneous, even.
You will be receiving, the people in the audience will be receiving an email with a discount code.
Ooh.
So you're getting that, I don't know, today, tomorrow, something like that. And then it'll be live at our new merch store, BEMAmerch.com. And so we're moving into a time of Q&A.
But we should note that BEMAmerch.com will be in the show notes.
Oh, show notes.
I was wondering if this show was going to have show notes.
Oh,
Every show has show notes. Okay, we do have questions, though. We have questions from people in the room. And the first question comes from Tyler Heston? How do you say it? Where are you, Tyler? How do you say your
Hey,
name?
Tyler.
Hestand. Do you want me to bleep it out in the podcast, though? Okay, all right. This is going out.
world
This is
must
going out for
know.
the world. All right.
It's a lot of pressure.
Tyler's
37
question
countries.
we have assigned for the group to answer. The question is, how do you balance spending time reading the Bible with using resources such as podcasts, books, and commentaries to learn the text? How can we ensure those resources deepen our engagement with the text rather than replace it? And I will just say, Tyler, I feel personally attacked. Anyway, what do you guys think?
Incredible. I think I have like input seasons and output seasons. So if I'm doing a lot of creative work, that's a time that I'm really just in the text. I'm not trying to take in more of other people's ideas. I don't want to accidentally plagiarize or just feel like I don't have something to say about a text. So that's at the time that I'll put everything back on the shelves and just be in primary text, as in the actual source or the Bible itself. But yeah, I like to rotate seasons, keep it fresh, or then I'll find a new resource that I love and I'll hang out there, go back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just such a structure. I just structure everything. So I spend the exact same amount of time in all the things every single day, no matter how I'm feeling or what I'm getting out of it. My 3.5 hours in every morning just always have, and that's how I make sure it's always balanced and I'm always spending the same amount. And there are times where I feel like I'm getting more out of this space than that space, but I try to just keep going back to the same space the same way, trusting that that moves as it ought to with the Spirit over time.
For the audio listeners, Marty's moving his hands around like a wave in an ocean.
Wave.
Waterbending.
I structure it, man.
Structure.
I think mine, I feel like I've kind of changed over time, and I used to lean a lot more on like the secondary materials when I would be prepping for, like, for me, it's a lot of preaching, sermon writing, that kind of thing. And I feel like as I get older, I just consult those things less and less. It's not that I think I know everything. I just have, I think, learned to be better at letting the primary text actually be primary. Another thing for us is, like, in our community, we do a lot of scriptural reading without then the other stuff added onto it. Even sometimes discussion, like we make a practice of, we're just going to sit and we're going to read, and then that's going to be it. And we're not analyzing or discussing. We're just hearing it read aloud for like an hour at a time and then moving on. So in our community practice, we try to mirror that sort of commitment to, like, let the primary thing be the primary thing.
I feel better. I feel better now. Tyler, did you get a card? Perfect. Second question is for Elle from Beth DuPriest. Where's Beth? There's Beth. I've met Beth before in Portland. Beth, by the way, is one of our transcriptionists. She is responsible for...
I'm so sorry, Beth.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
But she helps it. She helps the podcast listeners who can't listen read what we're doing, or the people who want to follow along, take notes, and the people who are working on translations of the podcast, which crazy to even think about that anybody would want to do that, but okay. So thank you, Beth, for that, by the way. Question is, what are your thoughts on using AI to help with Pardes? Is it a helpful tool to find connections, or a danger that leads us down the wrong path, or something else entirely? And she says, as I write this, I'm beginning to think about your teaching on the Tower of Babel and how technology advances are essentially amoral. Does that apply here, or is AI somehow different?
I believe that is not one of my teachings.
Well,
I let
the BEMA teach.
Marty comment on that if he wants. But I love this question because we've been getting more and more emails that have like a big download from ChatGPT in it. And I heard Marty say, maybe not, most recently. But I just like, one thing that I think it can be really helpful for is to find primary sources. If you imagine it like a library, if you're not morally opposed to using AI, which is its own thing that is totally valid, if that's your camp, that is great. Thank you for caring about the planet and other things. If you do, please ask for a primary source. Don't ask it to do the analysis for you. And then with the primary source that it gives you, go and read the primary source, right? So this also you can just do on Safari, right? You don't need to use AI if you are looking at a text and specifically for Pardes and you're trying to find, oh, what does somebody say? If you're on Safari, you click on the verse and they're all right there. You don't need ChatGPT or any other thing to help with that. But the real danger with it is we don't know what we don't know, right? And so if you are asking an AI something that you want to learn and you don't know how to filter through that information, how are you supposed to be able to figure that out if it's not already your field of expertise? So say you are trying to figure out if you agree with me about my thoughts on circumcision. Elle's always talking about circumcision. Or Marty's. And you're like, wait a minute, is this an Egyptian thing or not? And blah, 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 blah. Elle's saying this is a priestly Egyptian thing. You ask ChatGPT. It'll say, no, we know that all of the Egyptians did that. You don't know that the reason that Chat whatever is telling you that is that it's quoting Herodotus, and Herodotus was bigoted against Egyptian people, and it was a whole thing. And so if you don't have that insider information, even if you ask it like, oh, how do we know that? And it says Herodotus, you'll be like, well, he seems old and qualified. I don't know, right? So that's the danger for all of us out there, to be careful with, if we're using it to get into somewhere deeper, somewhere else, and not just turning off our brain, finding an answer, and then popping it on Reddit or wherever we're going. That'd be my recommendation.
And we just generally believe there's value in human thought and creativity. Somebody maybe wrote a book about the value of being human.
It was a pretty good book.
Pretty good book.
I mean, I think about the pillar of wrestling, and it seems like AI just erases the wrestling,
right?
You know,
it can facilitate it. And to talk about the Babel thing, the Tower of Babel technology, I think it's a perfect example of that lesson, because technology has all kinds of, are we going to use this to steward God's creation back to righteousness and justice? Or are we going to use this technology to take us away from that for selfish ambition or whatever those things are? Part of my grad work, I had to write a paper on AI in terms of what could it accomplish if we were using it for the poor and for issues of justice. And you could use this to great ends, but we're not. We're just going to keep letting... Anyway, now I'm going to start ranting about Empire. So I wouldn't do that, obviously, rant about Empire.
Never.
Next question.
Okay, next question is for you, Marty.
Oh, hooray.
This one comes from Nakia. I know where Nakia is. We've talked before.
Raise your hand, Nakia, so they know how to give you
Yeah, we need another
more
card
cards,
for Nakia.
more books.
You already have 2. You could donate a card to somebody.
She's going to have a library. She's not going to be able to fit on the airplane going home.
Question is, during the first few episodes of the reboot, it sounds like you cringe at some of the things you said from the first episodes in 2016. What exactly bothers you about the things you believed or espoused? Those first early 2016 episodes also changed my life.
Yes, which I love the fact that God still uses them in spite of things that I may cringe at today. And I do. You're very astute to hear that. I'm assuming that Marty 10 years from now will cringe at things that I say or think today. I hope that's true. I hope that all of us believe that the person 10 years from whoever you are today knows more, is better, has developed, has grown, believes new things, believes different things. Like, do you really want to believe the exact same things you believe today in 10 years? No way. I would hope not. Like, that's just a part of the human experience. And yet God meets us in all of those stages and uses us to have a conversation that blesses other people. So that's just beautiful. But yes, I do. Largely just the language that I chose to use or the jokes that I thought were funny, not just because I was a younger person, but because 2026 is not 2016. And I've also learned a bunch of stuff about how language can hurt people. And that joke, which was totally well-intentioned, is actually really demeaning to women, or like just those kind of things. And when I talk about Yiska, or I make some offhanded comment about, wow, Sarah must have been super hot at 90 years old. And I'm like, I was glad to like re-record that episode and get that out of there.
Justice for 90-year-old women.
Yeah. So anyway, those are things that I was really excited to, or sometimes I just misspoke or said something with way more confidence than I should have. And I look back and I go, what an idiot when I listen to the original episode. Say that with more open hands and much more grace. And so, yeah, it's a good question that I'm glad that you sense and see.
Okay, next question is for Reed from Danica Thurber. Danica, where are you?
Right there.
Question is, I'm intrigued by the continual reminder to trust the story in seasons 1 and 2. As you introduced it in the Garden of Eden, how does this concept fit or create tension with our concept of a fallen creation and fallen human nature? And can you maybe share an example of what trusting the story has looked like in your life?
Ooh, personal. Good. Marty and I were on book tour a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like we were talking about this a lot. This is a question that comes up for a lot of people. What does it mean to trust the story? How does that create tension with things that are, that go wrong? I guess what I want to say is the reason why it feels like a tension to us when there is like brokenness or when we sin, I think is because like trusting the story means believing that in the very beginning it is actually very good and that this isn't how it's supposed to be. One of the things that I found the conversation we were having with people on the road was that when you believe that the story doesn't start in the very beginning and you listen to the story that a lot of us have been listening to of like, well, you start bad, you start in this world of sin, then it just kind of becomes something you're like resigned to, like, oh yeah, that's just how it's going to be. But when we trust the story, and I wonder, I find it curious, like, why is it so hard to trust that actually, no, like you are deeply, like created deeply good. And this is a non-negotiable. This is actually an immovable thing, that from the beginning, your place is beloved, and that God's original posture, an enduring posture towards you, is one of love and care and affection. But yeah, then the tension, I think, comes in when it's like, oh man, like that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how I am supposed to be living. And what I'm being called to is not to be something other than what I am. It's being called back to the thing that I was all along to begin with. And for me, I feel like trusting the story is letting that apply to the ones who have hurt me and believing in their belovedness as well. And when their brokenness affects me and creates problems in my world, instead of lashing out vengefully or just like, sort of outsourcing my wrath to God and being like, why don't you strike them down or something? Instead of that, choosing a posture of curiosity and saying, okay, but if you are beloved too and you are created good, then why would that have happened? Like, why did you make these problems for me? And so trusting the stories, I think it means giving up that claim to any kind of judgment or vengeance for the ones that I rather would judge and have vengeance on, and saying I'm going to trust the story for them as well as I trust it for me.
That was good, Reed. I got lost in your answer there for a second.
Thanks. Yeah.
I was like, I got to do something.
Trust the story, baby.
Okay. Another question for the group. This one's from Mallory Gormley. Where's Mallory? Right up in the front. Here comes your flower. Where did you get the flowers, Drew?
Yeah, I'm afraid that Cathedral of the Rockies is going to come into work tomorrow and be like, what happened to our flower beds outside the... My daughter made them. Oh.
Yes. So as a side note, I lost the cards we were supposed to hand out. And as I was looking for something, he goes, my daughter has these flowers. We can hand out these flowers as long as we get them back. So if you have flowers, be sure to give them back. They belong to a little girl.
Okay.
Are they tulips, though? Is she running for the board?
Yeah, is she running for president?
Yeah.
Okay, here's Mallory's question. Seasons 1 through 5 specifically have totally reshaped my interaction with and engagement with the text in the best way. I can finally see the bigger picture, or at least glimpses of it. How do you engage with the local church as a body when the majority don't engage the scriptures this way? It can feel isolating. In my experience, most are still using a very Western lens that in turn leads to misuse and misinterpretation of scripture, or at best ignorance, which I do have empathy for, she says. I can't unsee the Eastern lens and don't want to, but I want to engage the local church. Is there a remedy for this gap? It can feel like two totally different languages are being spoken.
You should start, Elle. This is right up your alley.
The whole crowd is murmuring. They love this question.
It is a wonderful question. And I think the crowd is murmuring because we've been there, I think, in a church service where we're clocking, well, I'm not sure that that's the story that's actually being told in that story. And how do we engage in that space? Two answers. One is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes there are other communities around who desperately wish that there were more of them, who wish that you were part of their community, who need help. And so sometimes it's looking for, okay, if these values aren't quite lining up, this is a really important part of the way that I engage my faith. Are there any partners in the community that I can find? That's the one thing. The second thing is something that we talk about in wrestling, right? Those episodes have come out already. We want to honor other takes, right? We want to honor the Peshat. We want to honor, like, why has this become so important to this tradition? Because the reason that it has is not innocuous. It's not just some trite thing that they randomly picked. It usually has a really long history and tradition, even if somewhere along the way we might say, like, but if we can understand, okay, this is really important to this people because they really care about this thing, that helps me generate expansiveness and space to want to continue to be in community with the broader body of Christ, because we never want to know more than the person next to us and have that energy, which of course, that's not what your question is communicating, but we don't want to walk into spaces and be like, well, did you know, every time someone's preaching, like, preaching is hard. Preaching is really hard. Be nice to preachers. But thank you for asking it. Yes.
I think I would say that it is difficult. I understand that, to exist in a place where you sort of feel like secretly a little bit outcast. I get that. I would encourage you that the lens, sharing the same lens, is actually not the most fundamental, like, quality of the body of Christ. It's the spirit of unity and the bond of peace, and that agreement is not always the most important thing. Now, sometimes the people who disagree may not be very charitable or kind, but it's still on to us to do the things that make for peace. And then the second thing I would say is that, like, don't worry, and I don't know that you're trying to. I don't hear this in your question. But if there is a sense of, like, how do I change the community around me to be more, like, I would say, don't worry about that, and instead remember that the kingdom is like, it's like yeast. It's like small. It starts really down low, hidden, and that the Pope said, the old Pope John Paul II said something that I always kind of misparaphrase. And I should really stop attributing it to him at all, because I always misparaphrase it, but it came from him in my mind. And that is that the appropriate context for theological investigation, reading the Bible and all that kind of stuff, the appropriate context is love and mutual friendship. And so I would encourage you, first, focus on being a friend to the people in your community. Because when you get out of Sunday morning, you'll find that their concerns actually exist way more at the level of, like, just regular human stuff that we're all living through. And that to be a friend and to be as Christ to them, then, like, maybe the conversations open up and it's like, yeah, well, what about this? And you'll find that people are a lot more, like, open and agreeable to, like, different ideas when there is first that bond of friendship and love.
I've thought about this question a lot because it comes up a lot, because a lot of people share the exact places. That's why there was murmuring and agreement in the room. Comes up everywhere that I go for book tours or meet and greets. And one of the things that I've reflected on, I think about my own journey and how did it go? Because I've been exactly where you're talking about. Like people always say, how can you sit through any service? Because like the preacher's probably not using your hermeneutic. How can you even sit there, know the things that you know and sit through a sermon and even get through it, let alone enjoyment? So how did that happen for me? And I think I often feel like I grew up in a world that told me, this is the only right way. This is the only right way. This is the only right way. And then I learned that like, oh, that might not be but there was like a journey I was on to like, oh, this is actually right. But for a while I held it with that same, this is the right way energy. And eventually what I learned was like, actually, a large part of the problem wasn't the content itself, because I'm going to get a bunch of that stuff wrong in this one right way. It was the posture with which we held curiosity and certainty. And as soon as I start to open myself up to that, there are bad readings of the Bible and there are bad ways to hold theology, but there's also a lot of beautiful good ways to hold it. And then I can start looking for, it's that good eye we talk about in season 3 versus the evil eye. It's that what you look for, you will find. And then I started enjoying like, oh yeah, like at the church I go to now, there's like 4 to 6 of us on the teaching team on rotation. And I'm the only one that uses the historical critical approach. But there's like 2 like spiritual directors and contemplatives, and they're going to use like a totally different gear. And I just love it. And they're not going to talk at all about what the rabbi said. They just don't care. But they're going to talk about what Jesus told them that morning. And I find just great value in that. And so I just have come to learn to love that. Very good.
It is about 8:40, which means we have time for one more.
Oh, what are you going to do with that, Brent?
I'm going to do the only thing we can do and go to Lori Ann's question. Can we say who Lori Ann is?
That's my mom.
Oh, so many moms
that's the
in
time
the
for the
crowd.
aw.
We do have a question for the group. What do you especially admire in your co-hosts? What do you think they bring individually to the team in a unique way?
What a great mom question.
It is a great mom question.
And a good way to end and a great transition for the end of our episode later tonight. I'll start. What exactly did she ask? What do you admire in your co-hosts? What do you think they bring individually to the team? I love Brent's quirky attention to detail. I love his commitment to excellence, and that we share some like compulsive, we will start the thing that we finish. There's just things that are uniquely Brent that usually show up on a spreadsheet, but I've known them in like other spaces, and I love that commitment to perfection. And it's really not perfection, but it is like there is a standard that we can hit, and we're going to hit it in all kinds of different working spaces. And I really admire that about Brent. He makes, I mean, there's 2 people in particular that I would say, whenever I do the acknowledgments to any of the books that I write, there are 2 people at the end of that list outside of Jesus that are, without them, there is absolutely no BEMA, period. None of this is happening. And that's Brent and my wife. And so I just greatly appreciate who Brent has been and how he's been that in that space. Elle, I have always loved. I love that. I have never heard her tell the story you told about some people have moved your boundary stones. I didn't even realize that was happening on this side of that lesson. But I've just always loved how she's held her gifts as she's grown and matured. I don't mean that in a patronizing way. She has always taken up space and entered a space in a constructive, helpful, but has plenty of fire, plenty of spit, plenty of I'm going to bring something about, but I'm going to do it in a way that you can tolerate, and I'm going to protect you in that space. And because of that, we all grow and we're all better. And I don't know about Reed.
Next.
Reed, yeah. Reed's just one of my best friends, and I've just always appreciated, whether it's because he reads out loud or he has always been able to draw the real me out of me. And that can happen in spaces like the podcast, but in just deep friendship and relationship, Reed has always been able to let me be fully seen. That's a rare gift. You don't just make that kind of friend along the way. You have to have a real true friend that can see you and create enough space and see you in like your really dumb moments and not just walk through all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I think.
And I will say, I'll go next. In responding to that, I vividly remember the very first time that we were out on a drive, like you were visiting, and you like really opened up to me. And I know that that's like not the easiest thing. And you did open up to me, and you have become such a close friend to me. And the way that like you have made an investment in the things that actually matter to me that you're not necessarily like a part of, like outside of BEMA. There is a way that you really care about my team and my ministry that doesn't have a lot to do with you, but I feel like the actual attention and affection there. And then, I mean, you wrote my son a letter because you felt so moved, and like having somebody's voice, who is somebody that I greatly respect, be able to speak to him things that are deeply true that I think he can't hear. I mean, parents know, like sometimes you need somebody besides you. And you did that for my kid, and that means a lot to me. Brent, you are a wonder to me. Like, you are truly a wonder to me.
We Marco Polo'd about it this week.
The way that you're the companion voice on the podcast. You're not the one like preparing the main lessons and stuff like that. And yet, like, and so I don't know what that means as far as like your, clout when it comes to the Bible stuff we're talking about. But like being with you on book tour and like seeing you with people, the way you're able to hold space with people and like just be so real and like really receive, like when you talk about you have friends everywhere you go, that's not trite. Those are friends to you. You make friends, like it doesn't matter who a person is. You make the time, you make the space, you look them in the eye, like you are very real with them. And you're a wonder to me. And also like your love of baseball statistics and that you don't actually watch baseball is just one of the quirky things that I love about you.
I would watch baseball if given the opportunity. Maybe when I'm older.
Elle, I have talked before about how like my charismatic former life is something that in some ways I wish I could get back. And there are some things I lost from that feel kind of irretrievable to me. With my fiveness and whatever else is going on. And you are somebody who like gives me a great deal of hope because you're like galaxy brain on so many things. And like, you just like know a lot of things. Like where when I was learning some things, I was like, yeah, so let's leave that other thing behind. And yet like you are able to like so wonderfully hold both of those things together, like that charismatic, that spirit, like the spirit is very much alive with you. It's not just like thinking thoughts, like I'm the brain in the jar and I wish I could find the heart again. Anyway, and like the way that even in some of our conversations, like when we've had other retreats and things like this, where you have been able to like very kindly encourage me, like, you could get that back. And I'm like, oh, I think I believe you a little bit. So anyway, just the way you hold both of those things is like a wholehearted, whole person kind of thing that I really admire. Yeah. Yeah.
What a joy. Excellent. Thanks, Mom. I love that Brent has a hospitality of spirit that you just were talking about the good eye. There is no point in which I have ever worried about Brent judging me. I have never worried about that he's going to be difficult to talk to about any particular thing. There is only one Brent way of being, and it is always earnest, and it is always true and authentic and kind. And he is so... I love learning from you. I love watching you engage with people and just the way that you don't have like stuff that other people have about. You really want to know people, and your endless, boundless curiosity always inspires me, and I'm grateful to know you. Thanks. Yes. I love that Martin will start something and you don't even know what he's about to teach you. But he gets this sparkle in his eye and he like starts moving. I love watching him preach because he'll like sprint from there to there. And the whole time I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? This mic got so low. I don't know how it got so low. But when that twinkle gets in that eye, I am ready to go beyond the horizon with you. Lead on. I love that moment, and you steward it so well, and you lead us toward good things that look like Jesus. So I'm really grateful for that. Reed, I was talking with you last year about Marty's quality of doing that, and I told you this already. So, I didn't have to think of something new. And there's this word in Hebrew, siach, say siach.
Siach.
And it's the way that an oar goes into the water and it like calms the water as it moves things ahead. And if you ever have the joy of receiving Reed's ministry, if maybe Brent leading is going to spark curiosity, Marty is going to lead us off over into the sunset. When Reed reads something, whether it's his own writing or the word of the Lord, there's like a hush that goes out through the space. Instant sacredness that's such a gift that you're immediately able to remind us of what is true and what matters and what is good and real and significant and not ephemeral and dumb. And so I'm really grateful to know you.
Siach.
Siach.
I do have 2 browser windows open right now, and both of them are spreadsheets. So
I've been watching the whole time.
That does check out. So, you know, Marty and Elle are just raging academic nerds, and Reed is the cello of our podcast.
Ooh.
Go on.
Oof.
You just bring this like richness of meaning to the things that we're talking about. And it's not like I feel like that's lacking when Marty and Elle are talking, but there's just something about the way that you speak. I like to call Reed our philosopher. He doesn't necessarily agree with that, but like that's the only way that I know how to describe it. And I don't like philosophy, but I like Reed's version of philosophy.
Thank you.
Marty does not start anything without finishing it. And that's exactly the kind of partner that I need in doing things, because I do totally get mixed up in the details and mixed up in the perfection. And I do try to achieve that as much as possible. But Marty is like that driving force that makes me actually get things done more than I think anybody I've ever worked with or met before. And Elle, you have brought like this, like you went off and studied with a whole different set of things, and you've brought back to us this like whole new world of possibility. Like the first time I went through BEMA with Marty, it's like, I didn't even know all these options existed. I didn't know anybody thought any of this stuff. And I've been there, and you're just like raising the bar to a whole new level with a whole new world of possibilities. Like the spiral dynamics episode, it's like nobody's ever talked about that to me before. And I just love the way that you have opened up a whole additional level of world. Like it just keeps going. Can we not arrive somewhere and feel like but no, we still have things to learn. We still have growing to do. Me chief among them. But you guys all bring that out in me, so thank you. So, Elle, why don't you set us up for our next segment?
We are gear shifting. We're going to take a sec to move some furniture around, and we're shifting tone a little bit for our last portion of time together. So thank you for coming along with us.
We have a photo that's going up on the screen. This was taken just a few weeks ago. I'm walking into an arena in in a place called Aphrodisias. It's one of my favorite lessons to teach. We go in there and we talk about a lot of things, but one of the things we talk about is this passage in Hebrews. It's Hebrews chapter 11 and 12. We know it as the Hall of Faith. And it starts off, and it says, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And this is what the ancients were commended for. And then it goes on to talk about a bunch of these ancients. It goes on to talk about the universe and Abel and Enoch and Noah. And we're told about Abraham and Sarah and all of these stories, messy stories, human stories. We're told that all these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. And therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Which is a paragraph. And then it goes back to talking about the ancients again. Talks more about Abraham, because you just can't talk enough about Abraham and Sarah. Talks about Yitzhak and Yaakov. Talks about Joseph. Talks about Moshe and his parents and the faith that they had. Talks about the people passing through the Red Sea and how the walls of Jericho fell. Talks about the prostitute Rahab. And then the author says, what more shall I say? I don't have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. Women received back their dead, raised to life again. Wow. But there were others who was tortured. They refused to be released so that they might gain an even better resurrection. Some faced jeers and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were put to death by stoning. They were sawed in two. They were killed by the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, and mistreated. The world was not worthy of them. They wandered in deserts and mountains, living in caves and in holes in the ground. So I read that and I think about all these people whose names we know and stories, Abraham and Samson and Jacob and Joseph and Sarah and Rahab, and we know all these stories. And then there are all these other people, we don't even know their names, but they lived a life of faith. And then the author says, these were all commended for their faith. Yet none of them received what had been promised, since God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. I'll read that again. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. They had been made promises by God, and none of them received the promises that God gave them. They all died without receiving the promise, because the promise is actually better because it's made perfect with us, with you and me. And then it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, Abraham and Elijah and Sarah and Esther and Ruth and Barak and Deborah and faceless multitudes, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And so we go to this arena in Turkey, and we sit there and we think about, it's this beautiful place to think about that cloud of witnesses. All these people sitting in the stands. There's Abraham, there's Peter, there's Mary, Migdal, there's whoever. People I don't even know their name, but there they are, telling us to run. And I remember Ray teaching that, and it's a beautiful picture. And then Ray said, I don't think it's that much of a stretch to think about the people that you know in your life that have gone before you. And so we sit in this arena, and I follow Ray's model, and we sit there and we think about people that we know that sit in our cloud of witnesses. I teach this lesson every single year, and for years, I don't really have anybody in the stands that I think of until this summer. And I had lost my dad in October, and Josh a month later. And as I sat in the arena, I kept teaching that lesson with them sitting just right to my left. So that only together with us would their faith be made perfect. When we lose people that we're close to, it gives us a unique perspective, I think, on this chapter. So that only together with us was their faith made perfect. Part of what we wanted to do tonight was just remember the empty chair for us and remember Josh tonight. I think there's a lot of things that Josh didn't receive in this life. A lot of things that he probably imagined he was promised, and he died without receiving those promises. I think of an 18-year-old or 18-month-old son and the life he'll grow up in. There's a lot of things that Josh didn't receive. But it also made me think of a lot of things that Josh taught us, especially even in that last season. His last series he recorded was a season on Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, a series on mortality and death and what really matters and what doesn't matter and how to frame all of that. And I just could not, it gave me a weird, profound joy to think about stewarding the next 10 years in light of what he loved to say and teach us. I'm not sure what he would say, but I came up with what I feel like is a pretty good list. I think Josh would say that part of what we learn in passages like Hebrews and Kohelet is whatever the next 10 years are, it needs to not be about celebrity, but presence with real people. The next 10 years needs to not be about comfort, but it needs to be about growth. The right kind of growth. I think he would say the next 10 years needs to not be about leisure, but about joy. I think he would say that the next 10 years needs to not be about right-handed power, but left-handed testimony. I think the next 10 years, he might say, needs to be less about selfish ambition, but more about the humility of Christ. I think Josh would be quick to say in any of our meetings, not listeners, likes, and shares, but listening, loving, and empathy. Not the things that we're owed, but the things that we give. Not the flurry of accomplishment, but the affirmation of Sabbath. I know he would say that one. Not the security of certainty, but trusting the story. So for the next 10 years, if God chooses to give us another decade, and a decade after that, and another one after that, who knows? But for the next decade, may we steward this thing that God's given us in a way that helps make perfect the race run by so many before us up to this point. That it would make God smile. That it would make somebody like Josh smile as we run and we run and we run. I'm going to invite Burr to come up here. She's been reading our companion prayers to close out all of our episodes for the reboot. She hasn't been reading them, but she's been writing them. But we said you have to read it this time.
Will you pray with me? We bless you, God, for meeting us in this holy moment in time, joined by your crowd of witnesses, those that have gone before us when their part of the story ended too soon, and those whose stories are just beginning as we seek to scatter seeds for those coming after us. May we give more of our hearts to what is good, what is important, presence, growth, joy, justice, humility, love, empathy, generosity, Sabbath, and peace. In honor of our dear friend Josh, and to hallow your name, may we steward our part in your story well. We ask you to bless our beginnings, our endings, and our epilogues. Amen.
That is it. And to make the podcast a chiasm, what a 10 years it has been. We have had 10 years of podcast. Where were you 10 years ago? Where are you today? As Marty said, where will you be 10 years from now? Our journey has taken us from life to death to new life as a group. What will those next 10 years be? I don't know, but guys, #winning. Thank you for those 10 years. Thank you for those podcasts that go on and on and on and reach more and more. And can we give them another round of applause? And Brent, I believe this is where you hit the music.
I don't actually hit the music because when we're recording, we don't get to hear the music. Mostly because I'm fumbling around trying to decide what I'm going to say to close out the episode and then stopping and thinking, I don't need to say this much. Let's get out of here.
That is the part where he most is like, hold on, let me do that again.
Yeah.
So for 10 years, you have closed the podcast. For over 500 episodes, you have closed the podcast in almost the same way. Who knows it? You'll get a book. Who knows it? Anybody? Anybody want to hazard a guess?
Oh, well, you're going to put it all on one person's shoulders? I can't even remember it.
Anybody?
Just shout it out. What do we got? What do I talk about at the end of an episode? I can't hear what's happening. Pretty good.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
Definitely
Pretty good,
flower
Brent. How
worthy.
was it?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I talk about a lot of things
It's
at the end of the show,
flower-worthy,
but what
no
else?
doubt.
Reed, do you have
Yeah.
the close?
Thanks for joining us on the podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
About as close. About
Elle,
as close.
do you have the close?
You guys are forgetting a whole slate of things, though.
Oh
What
yeah,
I'm
join us
doing
on
at
the
the
join
end of
us
the
on the
podcast,
Palouse.
I'm taking my phone off of airplane mode, looking how long the recording is, and wondering whether Marty will be upset that it's like an hour and 10 minutes instead of 45 minutes. So
Okay.
that's what I'm doing. Well,
All right, well, I can say after 500 episodes that the line is, thanks for joining us on the BEMA Podcast. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Okay, but also the website, the show notes, the map, the contact page, the thank you to our donors and supporters.
Show
you do a
notes.
wonderful job, Brent.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I eat up everything.
You know, you can log into these different streaming platforms and look at the like chart of like how far do people make it into the episode.
This is so true.
And it is a depressing cliff in the last 60 seconds of the episode. So this actually, I guess, isn't surprising at all.
86% of you, we see you the moment we start a close. You're like, I'm out.
Yeah. Whatever, but let's do this last line together.
Yeah, we need to do it together.
I'll start it off. Thanks for joining us on the BEMA Podcast. Okay, all right.
What do we say, Brent?
Thanks for joining us on the BEMA Podcast. We'll talk to you again soon. Let's try it. Thanks for joining us on the BEMA Podcast.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Now we're getting the energy. Let's do it one more time.
One more time. Brent first, then you.
You guys do the second line.
Thanks for joining us on the BEMA Podcast.
That's it. Thank you for coming. Round of applause. Round of applause.